James Check says we are headed to $150,000 to $200,000 in the next 3 to 6 months for the price of Bitcoin. Here are the details. Okay, first up, any asset, the faster it runs, the less sustainable the high levels are. And so James Check is always looking at where are we likely to go, and how long is it likely to take to get there? And if you get there before the markets can sustain it, you're probably going to get a pullback. Think of it like the waves on the ocean as compared to the tides coming in. So if you parked me on a random seashore and you draw a line in the sand and said, if a wave comes all the way to this line, is it going to sustain that? Is that line going to continue to be crossed by waves? The answer is, well, where's the tide? Like, if that line is 20 feet away from where the water is, no. You might get one big wave that gets there, but the other ones are not going to get there. There's going to be a pullback. It might be a series of hours before the tide has come in enough that hitting that mark in the sand sustainably happens. Now, if you draw a mark in the sand and, you say, hey, is this sustainable? Are the waves going to keep reaching this line? And I look over and the tide is only 3 feet lower than that line, as in 3 feet like from the line to the edge of the water, then I would say, of course, almost every wave is going to hit that line. So it's the same in Bitcoin. Sometimes you get a huge wave, like in 2011, 2013, 2017, and 2021, where there's a big wave of interest and adoption, but the tide, meaning the overall worldwide adoption, is not quite ready to sustain that price level. So James Check is always looking at that. And for example, earlier in the year, he said, look, if we take a run at $150,000, we're not going to sustain it. If we had run at $150,000 in November of last year or January of this year, he's like, there's not enough worldwide adoption to sustain that price level. You're just going to get too many people that sell Bitcoin because they feel euphoric all of a sudden overnight. They feel rich overnight and they can't help themselves. And you get, idiots, selling their Bitcoin, planning to buy it back at a lower price. And you get, all sorts of crazy stuff. So, but we've chopped sideways enough, which James Check calls chopsolidation, which is a combination of the word chop, as in chopping up and down, and consolidation, which is what people describe when a stock or something else is basically spending a lot of time going above and below, a relatively tight range of numbers. It's consolidating, which typically means it needs a catalyst to jumpstart it going up again, or a negative catalyst, some bad news or some, the company misses its earnings target or its revenue target or whatever, and then the price goes down. But we have consolidated, chopped sideways for most of 2025. And according to James Check, we are locked and loaded. The spring is coiled. We are good. And we should be headed to $150,000 per Bitcoin in the not too distant future. Now, his first question is, look, do we stick the landing on the first try? And if we run to $150,000 tomorrow, we probably don't stick the landing on the first try. We're probably coming back to, the 120s, the 130s, something like that. Now, if we grind our way up over the next 3 to 6 months to $150,000, then we almost certainly will stick the landing, meaning the tide is coming in and we hit 150,000 because the tide is most of the way to 150,000. And the ups and downs in a typical day bring us over 150,000 consistently. So that is, what that looks like. Now, according to James Check, we might have some pauses along the way. His first prediction of a pause along the way is in somewhere in the $134,000 to $136,000 per coin. He says, look, at that level, there's enough people in enough profit quickly enough that you're going to get some sell pressure from people who are feeling newly rich. And what do? You just wait it out. And maybe it pulls back. Maybe we hit a brief pause. Got to chill out for a month or two in the middle of the 130s, and then we march on ahead because the spring is recoiled. We've chopped enough wood with chopsolidation, consolidation, chopping sideways, whatever you want to call it, that the marketplace has a full tank of gas, and we are ready for more. But in the next 3 to 6 months, hopefully, we should pass $150,000 on our way to $200,000. Of course, everybody thinks Bitcoin's eventually going to $1 million per coin, or practically anybody who believes in Bitcoin thinks we're, sort of minimum target is $1 million per coin. It's just a matter of, it'll take 5 or 10 years to get there. In the meantime, though, the much sort of earlier price targets are all numbers, between here and $250,000 that are reasonably attainable in the next year or two. So anyway, that's where we are. So the advice would be the same as always: buy as much Bitcoin as you can, hold on to it for as long as conceivably possible. Bitcoin will eventually hit virtually every price target. It's just a matter of time, and don't let the marketplace wear you out or scare you out as you go. And if you want to read something that gives you an incredible amount of visibility into where Bitcoin is and why it's doing what it's doing, I absolutely recommend James Check. It is really the only subscription I subscribe to. The two things I do basically every week, no matter what, is I listen to Jack Mallers, the Jack Mallers Show. Jack Mallers is the CEO and founder of Strike, Strike, which is a global Bitcoin platform. In my opinion, River is better in the United States. Strike focuses globally, and so they are available in far more countries. River is U.S. only, but for U.S. citizens, River tends to work better. It's more elegant. It's a little bit easier to use. But if you're outside of the United States, Strike is a fantastic platform. Anyway, Jack Mallers, the Jack Mallers Show, he live streams it every Monday night. I think it starts at 6 o'clock p.m. It's either 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time. I think it's 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Anyway, he live streams it. I always listen or watch that evening, either Monday night or Tuesday. It's always fantastic. And then twice a week, James Check sends out his updates. And I love his updates. I mean, it's right when I read his updates is the only time twice a week that I feel I have almost perfect visibility in what is happening in the world of Bitcoin, what is likely to happen in the world of Bitcoin, where we're going, how we're getting there, all of that. I get that piercing clarity exactly twice a week reading through the James Check updates. And if you want to know how to read a James Check update, I have posted multiple videos on my Facebook page explaining exactly how to read a James Check update and get a good sense of where Bitcoin is, where it's going, based on reading through it without having to understand all the complicated charts and graphs, because even I don't understand a lot of the complicated charts and graphs, but I do understand his commentary and why we are where we are and what it means, because he does a really good job of explaining that. So that's my James Check endorsement. We might have a pause in the mid 130s, but in the not too distant future, we should make a run at $150,000 per Bitcoin, and that should bring some euphoria and everybody feeling good. So exciting times ahead.